2022 is finally coming to an end, and I thought it would only be fitting for me to go over my favorite plugins of the year. Today, I'm going to be going over my favorite paid plugins, and then tomorrow, I'm going to be going over my favorite free plugins. So stay tuned for that. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the plugins came out in 2022, just that I used them this year, and I genuinely enjoyed them. So coming in first at number 5, we have Analog Lab 5. I thoroughly cannot recommend this plugin enough for people who make any kind of genre. If you're the type of person that loves analog hardware but doesn't want to break the bank, Analog Lab is a perfect alternative for you. This plugin has over 2,000 presets, and the sound selector is honestly one of the best I've ever seen in a VST. Up here, you can select the type of sound that you want to have. Right here, you can narrow it down to all of these analog instruments, and you have a bunch of options in terms of style. Like if you're going for a specific genre like heavy metal, you can just click that and boom, you have a bunch of presets that are perfect for that genre. This helps a ton if I have a specific goal in mind for a sound, because I could just put in all of these stipulations and get almost exactly what I'm looking for. Now, one pitfall of this VST is how much CPU it takes up. If I'm using more than 3 or 4 instances of Analog Lab, my CPU goes nutty. So oftentimes I'll have to render out the melodies in order to make my beat listenable. So with that being said, we're going to go into my 4th favorite VST of this year, and that is going to be Shaperbox 3. Shaperbox 3 is an incredible effect plugin. It has a ton of effects that you can automate super easily, including time, drive, noise, filter, liquid, crush, volume, pan, and width. Also, there are a ton of super creative presets if you don't feel like constructing it yourself. And honestly, you could use Shaperbox for anything. Another thing that I really like about Shaperbox is not only the VST itself, but the marketing and the content behind it. You may have seen this guy on your For You page, and that is Joe from Cable Guys. And he puts out tons of super high quality tutorials on how you can use Shaperbox to the best of its ability. And without him putting out that short form content, I wouldn't have known half the things I know now about Shaperbox. So I love how active the guys over at Cable Guys are and how they are adding new things to Shaperbox as well. Not just like, all right, we put it out, it's there now. Like just recently they added an oscilloscope, which is basically a waveform analyzer. And having that built into the VST is super helpful for sound design. So now that we're done covering number 4, let's go into my 3rd favorite VST of this year. This VST has been a lifesaver for my master as well as my melody mixing, and that is going to be Soothe 2. If you've watched my tutorials before, you know I mention this plugin almost all the time when it comes to mixing. Soothe 2 is a dynamic resonance suppressor in terms that me and you can understand. It basically just takes out harsh frequencies in your mix. So it'll identify those frequencies, dull them, and it'll make your beats sound a lot more pleasing to the ear. I threw Soothe 2 on my master at some point in this year, and now I'm pissed that I never did that before. Because now every time I hear one of my old beats, I'm like, oh, that hi-hat frequency is like really tingy. I should have put Soothe on that. So I honestly think this VST is a lifesaver when it comes to your mixes. Also, little intermission here. I want to say that no plugin is paying me to say this stuff. I have 2,000 subscribers. Nobody's paying me, period. This is all just my personal opinion. It's not influenced by anybody. Coming in at number 2 for my 2nd favorite VST of this year is going to be Hive 2. I honestly can't compliment Hive 2 enough. While its interface isn't exactly super user-friendly, the preset section alone makes this VST incredible. This year, I mainly used Hive 2 to make super trap beats, and that is because of the huge variety of these dark synthetic electronic sounds. If you click on the tags, it has a similar directory to Analog Lab, where you could pick what kind of sound you want to have, as well as the features of that sound and the character of the sound. So if I wanted an arpeggio that was dark, aggressive, and synthetic, boom, I've got them all right there. And because of how much is in this interface, it allows for a lot of adjustability. So if you hear a preset that you like and you're like, I don't really like this about it, it has a little bit too much low end, or that arpeggio is kind of playing a weird rhythm, you could just come in here, identify where the problem is, and tweak it. And now that we've got number 2 out of the way, let's go into my favorite plugin of 2022, and that has got to be Serum. If you've watched my tutorials, this really shouldn't come as a surprise. While it is sort of a basic wavetable synthesizer, the possibilities for Serum once you know how to use it are truly endless. And because of how user-friendly the interface is, I was able to learn Serum fairly quickly and start designing my own sounds, which has truly progressed my production a ton. Because of Serum, I've been able to make Serum preset packs, 808 kits, drum kits that are going to be coming out in the future. And I've also been able to just want a certain sound and make it. Also, if you're a producer selling to other producers, Serum can be a fairly lucrative VST. As I mentioned, you can make Serum preset packs, which can make you money. You could release your own sound kits with custom sounds, which makes it a lot more enticing. And you could use the sounds you create to make loop kits, which also can be pretty lucrative. So if you got some Christmas money this year and you want to spend it on a VST, I heavily suggest Serum or any of the 5 that I mentioned today. Hopefully you enjoyed the tutorial, and at the end of the day, this is all just my opinion. There is no definitive best VST, but these have been my favorite of 2022. Feel free to subscribe as I post 2 tutorials every single week, one long one and one short one. Other than that, that's gonna be it. Peace.